We are learning more about the 19-year-old college student who was on her way to visit her family for Thanksgiving, but was deported by ICE against a judge's order. According to the Austin American-Statesman, Ani Lucia Lopez Beloza, a 19-year-old college student at Babson College, was detained by ICE while trying to make a surprise trip to see her family in Austin. Within 48 hours of her arrest, she had been deported to Honduras. According to the Austin American-Statesman, despite a federal judge issuing a stay on Lopez Beloza's removal from the country the day following her detention, ICE deported her approximately 48 hours after her arrest. In quick succession, the agency moved Lopez Beloza to its Boston area immigration processing center, a military base, a detention center in Texas, and finally, with her ankles and wrists shackled, to Honduras. Her lawyer told the American-Statesman that Lopez's family had brought her here from Honduras when she was 7 years old and her family settled in Austin. Remember, the Trump regime said that they were after violent thugs and criminals. They were after rapists and murderers. They took a 19-year-old girl who's a full-time college student. They snatched her while she was on her way to visit her family for Thanksgiving. And then, according to her attorney, they violated her due process rights, including detaining her without showing her a removal order, and then they impeded her right to counsel. They then deported her out of the country against a judge's order. Her attorney called it an alphabet soup of constitutional violations. ICE is saying that she had a deportation order from 2015 when she was 9 years old, but her lawyer denies that claim. Absolute ghoul Gregory Bavino, you cannot convince me that he's not a sociopath. You can't convince me that he doesn't enjoy hurting puppies. He bragged about it on X, saying, "Why even mention this illegal alien was an 18-year-old college student? Completely irrelevant, except that an illegal alien may have taken a university slot from an American citizen." Bavino and other racist pieces of shit still believe in this great replacement theory. The racism is just so unbelievably overt. It's just so, yeah. Could you imagine being a 19-year-old college student on your way home for Thanksgiving break? According to the reporting, she got to her boarding gate and for some reason, her boarding pass wasn't working. So the attendant said, "You need to go over to customer service," where she was surrounded and handcuffed and dragged off. Can you imagine how terrified she must have been? As soon as her family learned what happened, they contacted her attorney. Her attorney got a deportation stay from a federal judge through a habeas petition. And during that time, ICE was shifting her from location to location to location. We have seen this over and over again. ICE loves to keep people moving because, of course, they can charge the government more for that, right? All of these businesses that are paid to provide vans and ship people around. On one level, it's about churning out those invoices because while this is an ethnic cleansing, it's also a grift where a bunch of guys who have these private businesses that have contracted to receive billions of our tax dollars to do this horrible work. They're getting real rich, right? They're getting real rich. So on one hand, it's that. And on the other hand, we know that ICE uses this technique to move people around very frequently, right? Often multiple times a day so that their lawyer can't find them. It is an intentional choice to try to make it impossible for them to get access to their legal counsel. It's incredibly underhanded. By the time her lawyer was able to find out where she was, right? Because they're moving them so fast, you can't find them in ICE's detainee locator. They can't find them in the system because they're constantly in transit. By the time her attorney found out where she was already in Honduras. She had already been deported, again, against a judge's order. Her lawyer says that he plans to continue to fight for her in federal court to try to force the agency to return her to the U.S. Her father is a tailor who has worked in this country for more than a decade. He is a decent, hardworking, tax-paying resident of the United States. His daughter is a college student. This is a normal family. These are normal people that are being targeted by this regime. It was never about rounding up murderers and rapists. It was never about protecting us from criminals. It has always been about an ethnic cleansing. It has always been about how do they funnel billions of tax dollars into the pockets of these corporations while inflicting a reign of terror across the United States. Please understand what happened to this family is not unique. Please understand this is happening all over the country. Families are being torn apart. People are afraid to go about their lives doing very normal things, like going home for break on college, like going to the grocery store. The Trump regime in January took away protections that prevented ICE from raiding churches, schools and hospitals. Here in the Portland metro area, there have been plenty of sightings of ICE around hospitals and clinics, including at the 2 children's hospitals in our area. The level of cruelty is just unbelievable. We know a lot of these guys are contractors. They're basically bounty hunters. There are rumors swirling that they are getting paid per head. I mean, way back in May, Stephen Miller said he wanted at least 3,000 immigrants abducted every single day, and that ICE should focus on non-criminals. That has been the policy for months and months and months. It was never about justice. It was never about protecting Americans from violent criminals. It was never about making us safer. It was never about having good immigration policy. It would cost so much less if we just had immigration reform and we had a pathway to citizenship that was not so needlessly convoluted, expensive, and time-consuming. And just like Donald Trump never had any intention of fixing our immigration system, he never had any intention of making Americans safer. This was always about an ethnic cleansing. This was always about advancing his authoritarian agenda. This was always about inflicting terror. The cruelty is the point. The grift is the point. None of this is about making America great again, because Trump never had any intention of doing that.